Alright folks, welcome to World Cup Today with me, Tom Bennett of Eurosport fame, and Peter Pedro Sharland. We've got an absolute humdinger of a show in store. I don't know about you, Peter, but I'm still an absolutely nervous wreck after England's penalty shootout win on Tuesday night. All around the country, people were falling apart, really emotional messes. We had Ross Kemp lost his shirt.
We had Ian Wright losing his glasses.
And the reaction here in the studio, Wrighty can't watch.
And then this poor guy lost his shoe.
I lost my shoe. If anyone can find this trainer, Ben Carpenter. I lost my shoe.
The first of our quarterfinals on Friday is Uruguay against France. The big injury news is Edison Cavani and whether or not he's going to be fit. Right now, local media reports are suggesting that he's not going to be able to play.
This looks set out to be quite an interesting game, Pierre, because you've got France who really struggled through the group stages, didn't quite click, but then in their last 16 game they played some great stuff, and Mbappe looked amazing. The World Cup trophy just fell over behind me. Mbappe was really good, really exciting, looked incredibly dangerous, probably the best player we've seen in the World Cup so far with one individual showing, but then Uruguay have been really hard to break down. They've looked incredibly organised, really well structured. Cavani has been a big threat. If he's injured, is that going to be the big decisive factor, do you think?
I think it will be. I think in the game against Portugal, Cavani was absolutely crucial. They sort of lined up in their 4-4-2 as they did in the group stages, but then Cavani kept dropping deeper and making up 4-5-1. He was playing as the third central midfielder, he was helping out wide. That work rate really is going to be missed by Uruguay, I think, in the next game.
I'm not sure how to call. This could be completely turgid drivel, or it could be one of the best games of the tournament. I'm not sure what we're going to get.
So Tom, which way do you think you're going to see this one going?
I'm leaning towards France. I think they just look one of the better teams in the tournament. I'm thinking maybe 3-1.
Interesting. I think even without Cavani, I think Uruguay are going to have too much determination. That back line is going to shut Mbappe and Griezmann down. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Uruguay. The late game on Friday sees Belgium take on Brazil in a heavyweight clash. It's going to be Neymar versus Eden Hazard, Gabriel Jesus versus Romelu Lukaku, and Thibaut Courtois versus Alisson. Tom, which way do you think this one's going to go?
That's a really tough one, Petrino. I think I'm really tempted to lean towards Belgium. I think they look that big win against Japan coming right at the end like that. I think that was really quite special for them. They're an odd side. This game has so much star quality on the pitch, but I'm a bit worried the two teams are going to cancel each other out.
I think so far in this tournament we're really yet to see the best of Brazil. I mean, we've seen flashes from Neymar and Coutinho especially, but they haven't really clicked as a unit. I think this could be the game where it all comes together under Tite's vision and they're going to really announce themselves as contenders in this tournament.
What do you think about Neymar? Because for me, he's been quite a frustrating player to watch. He produces these moments of brilliance, but he flits in and out of games trying to do it all himself.
I think the problem with Neymar is that he's sort of playing a little bit too deep. He's trying to pick up the ball and do everything, which in that team is really Coutinho's job. I think Coutinho's been their standout player so far in this tournament. I do love the villainy, I do love the pantomime that comes with him. I think Neymar needs to get higher up the pitch, get closer to Jesus, and then sort of impact the game in the final third.
Right then, P. Dizzle, it's prediction time. Who do you think is going to win this one?
I think in this one it's going to be an absolute corker of a game. I'm going to go for Brazil 4-2.
I'm going to go for Belgium, I think. I think they're just going to have a little bit too many options for a Brazilian team who haven't really been tested as much as you'd expect at this stage. So I think Belgium. Maybe 2-1.
And first up on Saturday is Sweden versus England. Both teams fresh from dramatic victories in the last 16. Tom, where do you see this one going?
This has got to be an England win. Surely it's got to be an England win. Would you make any changes, do you think, to the England team?
I think the only change I'd be tempted to make is bringing Ruben Loftus-Cheek for Dele Alli. Not to say that Dele Alli's played poorly or anything, I think he just didn't look fit in that game against Colombia. Loftus-Cheek is a similar sort of player. He brings the ball forward, he carries it, he creates. And if Ali is struggling, then I think that would be the only change I consider.
Personally, I'd love to see Loftus-Cheek's cheekbones in the lineup because he's such a beautiful man, isn't he? Incredibly precise facial hair. He's just, I think he's the biggest revelation of the World Cup. So how about Sweden then, Peter? What do you think? Where are they going to really pose problems?
I think the real danger man is Emil Forsberg. Obviously, he scored that deflected effort in the last round, but apart from him, you can't really see too much. If as long as England can keep Forsberg quiet, I think that'll probably be Henderson's job, and they should be able to keep the rest of the Sweden team quiet.
Now it's time for predictions. Peter, what are you going for?
I'm going for another England win on the march of it coming home. 3-1 England.
I think England might run riot here. I'm going for a really confident 5-1 England Harry Kane hat-trick. I think everything's going to click. I think Dele Alli and Lingard are going to click. I think everything's going to work perfectly.
You heard it here first. And the last of our quarter-finals sees Russia take on Croatia. This is going to be a tense game between two well-organised sides. Tom, what are your initial thoughts on this?
This is a really juicy encounter, this one, isn't it? I think if it wasn't a home nation, this would be, you'd create Croatia win all the way. I don't think anyone would really give Russia much of a chance on paper, but this hasn't been a normal World Cup for Russia so far. They've been doing some very odd things in terms of their results they're pulling out of the bag. And Croatia didn't look that good against Denmark. How do you see it going?
I think my worry for Russia is that they may not use the pace in that team. Obviously, you've got Golovin and Cheryshev. I think they're the key to unlock Croatia. If you're going to use Zuba, as exciting a player he is, he's just so big. But I think Lovren and Vida are going to cope with that pretty well. I think if you can push Cheryshev inside and push Golovin up the pitch, I think that's going to be where Russia can get some joy.
That Croatian midfield is surely the best one in the tournament. You've got Modric, Rakitic, obviously pulling all the strings there. I can't see quite how Russia can compete with that. And they're going to be reduced, I think, to long balls, hitting them on the break. But I'm not entirely sure they're going to be able to manage to do enough with the possession they're going to get.
Right, Thomas, predictions time. What are you saying for this one?
Now then, Peter, I reckon we've got this as a Croatia win all the way. I don't see Russia doing enough. They might get a little bit of help from the home crowd, maybe the odd referee decision going their way, but I think Croatia 3-1. What about you?
I think there's enough for Russia in terms of the crowd, the Putin effect. I think I'm going to go for 2-0 Russia.
Ooh.